Ladies and gentlemen, I am officially running for President of the United States, and we are going to make our country great again.
May 2015, Donald Trump has announced his candidacy for President of the United States. And while the general public accepted the news with ridicule, firmly convinced that nothing would come of it, it soon became clear this was no haul. Trump swept the competition in the internal party elections and won the Republican nomination, followed by a fierce and dirty campaign against Hillary Clinton.
Donald J. Trump is now President of the United States. President Obama is the ex-president. And Mr. Trump, for the moment, steps in his...
What if all this didn't happen by accident? What if something or someone has long ago decided how it will play out? In this video, we will present to you one of the most amazing theories about Donald Trump. And before we go, leave a like and subscribe to our channel to support us. When Nikola Tesla died in a hotel room in New York in January 1943, the US government decided not to leave anything to chance and confiscated all his writings and documents, including blueprints of his most famous inventions, so that none of them would happen by chance into the hands of the enemy. One of the inventions that probably interested Americans the most during the war was Tesla's death ray. It is still unclear what kind of weapon Tesla was working on, but it is speculated that some kind of air of accelerated particles moving at the speed of light. But at this moment, we are still interested in another Tesla invention. During his life, Tesla was obsessed with time travel, and on one occasion allegedly managed to make some kind of time machine that made it possible for him. In March 1895, a New York Herald reporter noticed Tesla sitting in a cafe and approached him. Tesla looked very worried and shaken and told the journalist what happened to him earlier in the day. Allegedly, during one of his tests, an unexpected electric shock hit the scientist in the shoulder, and a voltage of 3.5 million volts passed through his body. Tesla told the journalist that at that moment he left space and time, in which he was and could see the past, present, and future in parallel. Unfortunately, his assistant was nearby and soon shut down the machine and saved his life. The designs of this machine, as well as all other Tesla's inventions, therefore ended up in the hands of the American government. In order to find something useful in this pile of documents, a number of experts were hired, including electrical engineers, scientists, and physicist John G. Trump. Trump analyzed Tesla's blueprints and writings and concluded that there was nothing worth mentioning in them, nothing worth mentioning in documents that came from one of the greatest minds of all time. And maybe John didn't find and keep something for himself. For example, something related to Tesla's episode with time travel. Why did we mention this at all? John G. Trump is in fact Donald Trump's uncle. The Trump family therefore had access to Tesla's design of the alleged time machine. If you are wondering why all this information, then it was necessary to tell this story in order to have some basis for insight into what is yet to come. And it is quite amazing. In the late 19th century, the American writer Ingersoll Lockwood published several children's novels, including one entitled Baron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey. The main character of that novel is Baron Trump. So, just one letter separates the name Baron, as Donald Trump's son is called. There is also an illustration of a character from the book that bears little resemblance to someone. But irrelevant, let's move on. The Baron is described in the books as a wealthy aristocrat living in Trump Castle. But when young Trump gets tired of the luxurious life he is used to, he decides to go on an adventure and ends up in Russia by chance, where he is sent by his mentor, Constantino Bartolomeo, better known as Don. So Trump is acting under the leadership of a certain Don. Pure coincidence, of course. In Russia, Baron Trump finds a portal in parallel dimensions that allows him to travel through time and space to anywhere in the world. This portal is located in the western slopes of the Ural Mountains. It is still known in this area that there's a large number of widespread underground cave systems. However, all this was discovered when Ingersoll Lockwood had been dead for a long time. If you haven't been interested in the story so far, I believe you will after this. In 1896, Ingersoll Lockwood wrote another interesting book called The Last President, and it begins like this. In early November, a state of emergency reigns in New York. There are angry citizens, anarchists, and socialists on the streets, protesting and announcing that they will destroy the homes of all members of the rich who have been treating and exploiting them for years. And the reason for this protest? A candidate was elected to a position of President of the United States of America, who was a complete outsider whose victory no one had hoped for. The main target of the protest also mentioned a hotel on New York's famous Fifth Avenue, which will be the first to feel the anger of the people. Let us remind ourselves, these are data from a book written back in 1896. And 110 years later, on November 8, 2016 to be precise, the United States elected Donald Trump as president. Immediately, huge masses of people took to the streets of a large number of American cities, who could not accept the unexpected victory of a candidate who no one took seriously at the time. A large number of demonstrators also gathered in New York, symbolically in front of Trump's Trump Tower Hotel. Hotel address, Fifth Avenue. The new president from Lockwood's book also appointed members to his office, and one name stands out. He appointed a person named Leif Pence as Minister of Agriculture. Donald Trump also has a Pence. Mike Pence has been with Trump throughout his campaign, and is his deputy. Just another coincidence? Do you agree that they have accumulated a little too much? And now, let's say something about the author of the books, Ingersoll Lockwood. Little to say, the man was a freak. On the first page of one of his books, there are two photographs of him, one from the time when he was 30 and 60 years old. Below one of these photos, it is written that he is the author and founder of Cult of the Immortal Man. It is interesting to note that Ingersoll differs very little in these two photographs. In fact, in the 30 years between the photos, the difference in appearance is really minimal, just as one might expect from someone who is immortal. We have already gone very deep and easy to get lost in all this, but it is clear that something in this whole story is strange, and that is simply too much of a coincidence. Thus, Donald Trump's uncle was in possession of Tesla's writings, which, among other things, described the alleged time machine. Then, some weirdo from the late 19th century writes children's books that describe with incredible precision the coming to power of the American president over 100 years later, as well as his son who supposedly has the power to travel through time. How could Ingersoll Lockwood foresee all this? Did Tesla really find a way to travel through time? Was it really Barron Trump, or maybe Donald Trump himself used that technology and passed information about the future to Ingersoll Lockwood? Is all this just a coincidence, or is it something else? I am also interested in your opinions on what you think about this, so feel free to write them down in the comments. Don't forget to like if you like this video and subscribe to the channel to support us in making new videos. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video with some interesting new story.